Wait, is that a Blink tattoo on your arm?
Yeah.
Oh, no fucking way. The smiley face?
Both of them.
Oh, that's so sick.
I actually got it backstage.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to act just as surprised. Like, move your arm at some point or another. And I'll be like, is that a Blink tattoo?
Like, fuck yeah. This is
idobi Warped Radio.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to idobi Warped Radio. I'm very excited for today's episode with an artist who has not played the Vans Warped Tour just yet. It will be her first time ever performing at this festival. But before we get going, just a reminder, you can check out our interviews with Kevin Lyman, Royal the Serpent, and 303 on idobi.com right now. And I am very excited to the point that I am stuttering over myself. I hit myself in the face with the microphone because I am so excited.
We're off to such a good start.
Such a good start to have not only someone I consider a friend, someone who I've watched grow over the last 2 years. I've watched her play Emo Night. I've watched her songs go insanely viral on multiple different platforms. I've watched the evolution of an incredible artist go from a songwriter to performing on her first festival, tour all over. I'm very excited right now.
You're making me blush. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's 11 a.m.
It's 11 a.m. I'm sweating like I've been in the Warped Tour parking lot all night.
Wow.
Or day, rather.
Thank you.
But either way, I'm very excited right now to introduce and bring to idobi Warped Radio Chandler Leighton. How are you?
I'm so fucking good.
Hell yeah.
I was ready for you to be like, what the fuck is up, Warped Tour? I was waiting for it.
I didn't want to scare the listeners. I wasn't scared about scaring you. Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to come out
about scaring you.
Right?
Yeah. I disagree.
Amazing. So, man, you're playing the Vans Warped Tour this summer. You've done so much over the last 7 to 8 months since I last interviewed you.
I was about to say, the last time I was here, it was before I was about to go on my first headline tour, right?
Yep.
It's crazy because I've been putting out music, for quite a while now. And like, I didn't even go on a tour, let alone like an opening slot. I just went straight to the headline. Like, which was pretty fucking ballsy. More so because like, oh my God, I didn't know how expensive it was.
Yeah.
I spent way too much money. And then I went on tour with Natalie Jane back in January, February. And my tour was called The Sick Tour and hers was Sick to My Stomach.
That's so funny.
Which was so funny. And I had a bunch of merch that I hadn't like sold out of, but all of it said like The Sick Tour on it. And so I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sell this because like it looks weird. But like then she happened to like call her like tour like Sick to My Stomach. And I was like, oh, I can sell this merch. And it looks like just part of her tour. I'm like, this is great.
Amazing.
I did.
And the Vans Warped Tour is arguably the sickest tour that's ever existed. So maybe if there's any leftovers.
First festival.
Which is so crazy.
Crazy. I went from headline to festival. And
let's take it back a little bit further. It's the first festival you ever went to as an 8th grader. Now it's the first festival you're ever performing at.
Yeah. I was a huge Tumblr kid. I fucking loved that damn website before it all went to shit. But I kind of found all the music, like the Warped Tour, like scene from Tumblr. Like it was like the Bring Me the Horizon and Sleeping with Siren songs and A Day to Remember that were like always popping up on my page. And I loved them. And the year that I went, like it was all those bands and like Dance Gavin Dance. I liked the very like more rock, like where like there was like a little bit of like pop, like singer-songwriter. Like I loved like their like male voices so fucking much. I was scarred being in the fucking, you wouldn't think A Day to Remember mosh pit would go as hard as it fucking went.
Oh, I know it did.
Oh, and me being like I think I was either in 8th grade or freshman year. I'd have to look at the lineup and like see which one it was. But rule number 1, you don't know this as a fucking 8th grader. You never go down to pick up your shoe if it falls off. And I like someone had kicked off like the back of my shoe and I went down to fix it. Mm-hmm. And literally like all of a sudden it was just like this wave of moshing that just like started happening all around us. And my friend, like I'm on the ground and I'm like holding on to her fucking leg in her hand because I'm like, she's like, don't fucking move. And it was so fucking scary, but I popped up there and I was like, fuck yeah. And there was like fucking people bleeding everywhere.
Jeez.
Everybody had broken noses and bloody noses. I was like, this shit is sick as fuck. I had my blue like fake the hair streak from Claire's.
Yeah.
They used to have like fake clip-ins and like I wasn't allowed to dye my hair, so I just would clip in like little fake pieces of like dyed hair. I thought it was so cool.
That's so wild. You basically got taken down by the mosh pit undertow.
Yeah. That was a quite terrifying experience. And honestly, like not a fan of moshing after that. I feel like I'm kind of just like scared, you know? I actually, the last time I was like in a fucking mosh pit was with Royal at Bring Me the Horizons show. Because Sage was drumming and she's like, do you want to go down here with me? And I was like, yeah. Yeah. And like, she just fucking goes after it. And I was like, you're so iconic for this. And I just got like checked once and just like flew 10 feet. And I was like, this is why I can't do this. You know, like I feel like you have to go back. Like you can't just stand there. Yeah. You know, it's like gravity. Like I get why people, you know, move like that, but it's not for me.
So picture us both in 8th grade and us being size comparisons, basically the same proportions we are now. So everyone would go after this 8th grader at a mosh pit thinking I was a lot older. So I went into one Chiodo's mosh pit
ready for you to tear down.
And that was the first and last mosh pit I ever went to at
really?
Warped Tour. Oh yeah. It was I think it was my first Warped Tour too, and then like
they don't fuck around.
No, and then I was standing on
that's like different moshing.
Yeah,
especially back then.
Oh,
you know that was
like
circuit
08 probably.
Yeah, it was
07, 08.
I was an 8th grader freshman. 2010, 2009 is the year that I went. So yeah, wow. Different time.
Yeah. The
and
only
I
other
no fucking photos of it because like there was no Instagram yet, and like my Facebook got hacked.
Oh no.
2 years ago, and it took everything, wiped the whole thing. So like I have no memory of like my first Warped Tour, which fucking sucks, and I'm so mad at that. But you know,
well,
it's here.
Time to make new memories of your first time on Warped Tour instead.
I know. I kind of feel like I manifested something.
Maybe. And the crazy thing, we'll connect it later in the interview, was the only time I've actually like gotten hurt in a Warped Tour pit besides like the Chiodos getting kicked during the mosh pit. Oof. I was like barricades for Katy Perry and a crowd surfer fell on me, and I'm like, this isn't for me. Yeah. We'll get into
fucking punk rock.
We'll get into that in just a little bit. But I want to ask you what your initial reaction was to be when you got the offer for the Vans Warped Tour, because obviously all those memories and then coming back in such an iconic way.
It's funny because like when I went to Warped Tour, like I was a theater kid, and like that year I had just picked up guitar. Like I just started learning guitar, and like I knew that like music was something that I wanted to do, but I never thought like Warped Tour. I always was like in this. I loved listening to that music, but I was in the singer's like songwriter folk like realm, but for some fucking reason, like that shit made me feel so alive. And it's funny now as an adult that I've gravitated more towards these alt and rock sounds, and it makes sense because I'm like, that's what I grew up on.
Yep.
It's always been a part of me. I think it was just something that I feared to tap into. Like being afraid of being too loud, and like spirituality, like they talk about your throat chakra being like it's closed when you like feel small and you're taking up too much space. And I'm like, it's interesting that like as I got older and I got more comfortable in being myself, I'm like, I started making this alt rock music. So I'm like, to get this gig I actually got it on my headline tour, and I was like, what the fuck? I like couldn't even believe that it was back, first of all, because I hadn't been since then.
Yeah.
And I just it did feel very, very full circle. Like that happened to me also like when I went to EDC for the first time. I saw Millennium and I looked up and I was like, I want to make a song with him. And then my first release was literally with him in 2019. So like to have that happen again, like with the Warped Tour thing, I was like, wow. And like I'm so much older now, you know, that like I never like I thought Warped Tour was just done, you know? So yeah, it's a pretty fucking cool experience. I'm kind of nervous.
You have absolutely no reason to be nervous. So you said you basically manifested this, and we all saw in the announce video, you have a shrine to Kevin in a tent in your backyard.
Holy shit.
Come up with that announce video? Because I watched it about 15, 20 times, and I laughed harder each and every time.
Because I was like, funny enough, like the whole like feeling like a fever dream. You know when like, I mean, every artist could probably relate to this. Stress dreams are like, you walk on stage and there's nobody there, or like you are late to rehearsals, or you get on stage and like nothing works, everything's broken. And so like I kind of wanted it to feel like a stress dream. So like once you're like, we're in this like weird fucking tent, and I was like, I think adding a shrine of Kevin would be a really nice touch.
So fun.
Because I also thought, I was like, well, the people who will get it, like, are the people who get it will get it. Like the people who know, obviously. I feel like some people missed it.
Yeah.
Like you really had to like pay attention to it. Like I remember like Lolo was like one of the only ones to like catch on it. It's like not the fucking Kevin Shrine. And I was like, thank you for seeing that. I was like, why aren't more people getting this?
It's so funny.
It's okay. Just right over their heads.
Yeah, whatever. But
You got it.
well, now they have a clip on Adobe Warped Radio to refer to and go back to the clip to rewatch it from a different perspective.
I love that.
Right?
Now you can watch it. A shrine of Kevin Lemon.
And speaking of looking at things from a different perspective, you and some other incredible female singers on the Vans Warped Tour have participated in a singing competition show to some extent, whether it be The Voice or American Idol. You were on American Idol season 14, I believe.
14 and 15.
And 15.
I got booted the same round each time.
So
I was like, why'd y'all bring me back? The fuck?
So we know that like Cassidy Pope really thrived in her field and her lane when she did it. Juliet Sims did that as well. They did Warped Tour before they hopped on the show. Would you have rather done a tour like Warped Tour before going on American Idol, or vice versa, or the way you did it?
Oh my God. When I watched that American Idol back, I'm like, that girl was fucking scared shitless. She'd had no idea who she was. I am so glad it took me this long. Like, I am such a firm believer in slow growth because it gives you time to figure out who you really are. And I think it's so okay to have, like, you're allowed to have all these different versions of yourself. We're constantly evolving and constantly changing. And I don't think that makes you, you know, any less authentic. I just think it means like you are willing to, you know, change. And I don't know. I look at that video of Idol. They got my age wrong. I was like 18, 19 years old. And they said I was 20 and I was really pissed about it. I don't know why that made me so mad. But I was like, I was 19. But yeah, I don't know. And if anyone's seen that video, I'm wearing a fucking fedora and a fucking striped sweater. Like, I want to bash my head to a wall when I look at that. I'm like,
Can I say the pun that's going to get everyone all pissed off?
oh God.
It was fedorable. Someone said that about one of my friends wearing it, and I love that pun so much.
I was like, that's actually really cute.
Right? It's a nice pun.
It is.
It's a good pun.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very glad that things worked out in the way that they worked out. I would have never been able to handle something like Warped Tour back then. Mm-hmm. I also didn't have the music yet. Like, I didn't have what I have now.
Yeah.
And like, I don't regret the pacing of my career. You know, mm-hmm. I just wish I would have maybe just believed in myself earlier.
Yeah.
That's maybe the one thing like I would have changed, just like not been so fucking scared shitless. But yeah, definitely not. I'm very glad I'm playing it older. I feel like I have much more calmer sense to help me get through that, or else I would have shit myself on stage. No way.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And now seeing the artist you've grown into and everything you've accomplished, you're a very visual artist with your music videos and your performances. And now the Vans Warped Tour is notorious for not having any stage production or anything. How are you going to construe your artistic vision to a stage without potentially having production like you typically would?
Honestly, I'm so used to that. I'm a fucking jelly bean on stage, and that's like the production I need. Because I've never had production, I've had to learn how to jump around on stage and be super, super active and be very, like, it's super important to me with my band members that we are interactive with each other, because like I never had the funding. Like, I've never had like lights, and I don't have like visuals. Like, I did a little bit, like my name for tour, but like I didn't have, you know, front of house, and like I did on my headline, but not like on the last tour, but like nothing, like no stage production, just like the house lights that were there. So I'm kind of used to it, honestly.
Hell yeah.
But I think the energy will be enough. Like, I think the music videos are something like so separate to me.
Yeah.
Because that's more of like this visual world, kind of like theatrical almost, and like, but the stage, like it just feels like fucking chaos. You know, it's just like unhinged, like letting go, you know, as where like music videos are more scripted. So I feel like the stage is like, I think Sage told me this, that Travis Barker did an interview where someone told him where when you walk on stage, the mask should come off, not on. And a lot of people like get nervous about getting on stage, like they're scared of what other people, you know, think of them, and they're nervous and stuff like that. But if like ever since I heard that, I was like, yeah, like you should be the most yourself when you're up there. So I think, yeah, it'll just be fucking fun. I feel like I'm finally going to get a chance to actually really jump around.
Yeah.
And pray to God I don't eat shit or run out of breath. I really want to stage dive, but I'm also very scared.
Yeah. Is it going to be one of those Warped Tour stages where the barricade's close or about a 10 feet?
That's what I was thinking about. I literally asked Sage that. I was like, if I were to jump from the stage to the crowd, we'll like cut right now to me stage diving.
Future clip.
Yeah, future clip. But he was like, it's pretty fucking far. And I was like, okay, there's no way. I would like walk up, I think.
Yeah.
I've always had this fear though, as a woman stage diving, you know?
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like it's actually, no, it doesn't sound strange. Like I feel like women are afraid of being like touched inappropriately. And that's been like my one thing of like not wanting to stage dive, but just fucking know if I do and any motherfucker puts their hand on me, you're getting elbows to the face. So.
As they should. And you should record every single elbow that goes to the face. Hell
I will.
Because Chandler is tough AF. So tough.
So strong.
So tough and so jumping and so extreme sports. You asked some BMX riders to be in your new music video for Say Less, I saw.
God, no, that wasn't even the music video. That was just like...
Oh, it was just a TikTok video?
Content. It was literally 2 days ago. And I've always had a very, very hard time filming content in public.
Okay.
It's just like, it's a fear that I'm getting over because especially being in LA, it's like everyone fucking does it, get over it, whatever. Yeah. I don't know. I just have a hard time with it. Anyway, we're in this garage because we had like this dolly and we planned on doing this shot that was just going to spin around me. And there was like 15 bikers there. I don't know if bikers is the term, bicyclists.
Honestly, when I was thinking of the question, I'm like, is it bikers or is everyone going to think it's motorcycle riders?
Bicyclists, I think is the
tricksters.
Correct. Tricksters.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. But I was like, okay, one, I'm nervous because like they all of a sudden were like doing their tricks and shit. And as soon as they saw like our cameras come out, they kind of just like sat and watched. And I was like, well, that makes me nervous. It makes me feel weird. But I also like looked at my friend who was filming Naz and I was like, we have to ask them to be in it. I was like, there's something here. I was like, you have to trust me. And at first they were like, I don't know about this. I was like, trust me. And I was like, I have an idea. Because of like the fact that we were spinning in a circle. I was like, how fucking sick is that they're, you know, spinning behind us. And they were so down. And one guy was like, you got $10. And I was like, smart kid. And I actually DM'd them yesterday because we did that in 2 seconds. It was like a one take wonder.
Yeah.
But like we didn't have like the right setup and I DM'd them and I was like, hey, I can throw you guys some cash if you want to meet up again and actually like film something for real. And I'm working with my choreographer tomorrow to actually like have a choreographed thing for me while the bikers go around. We put so much work into it. Like it's just so fun for me. But yeah, crazy fucking experience. And now we're going to work again together. So that was just right place, right time and really nice kids. And it felt very childlike.
Yeah.
Like it felt very wholesome, like very play, you know?
That's
like
awesome.
When you're at a playground and you go up to people and you're like, want to hang out? Like that's what that felt like. It was really fucking cute.
It's the taking the mask off and just improvising and rolling with the punches. Yeah.
And I was just like, I thought they were so cool. And like, I was like, yeah, I'm a music artist.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to see the video, like here, like you can check it out. And they're like, oh, it's sick. Like, they were so sweet. So sweet. It was so cool.
That's so cool. Yeah. And speaking of Say Less, your newest single, you started out in your career by basically one of your first songs ever released with your voice on it was a Millennium song that you worked on. Wow. Then you went in a darker pop direction. Then I would say like an indie dark pop direction. I feel like you hit every circuit of the indie pop world. Like you hit every town on the east side, basically, when it comes to indie and pop. Yeah, you did such a good job.
Thank you.
Now there's a new era of Chandler Leighton on the horizon with Say Less. It's more of a pop rock direction, and it's, I feel like, the perfect time with your Vans Warped Tour performances.
Yeah.
So talk about being so genre fluid and going into the Vans Warped Tour and keeping your identity as, no matter what the genre technically is to someone who hears it for the first time, if you watch the show, it's always Chandler Leighton.
Yeah. I think when I was first starting out, it was very important to me to have the freedom to experiment and not be tied down to a genre just because that song pops off or like it works out for you. I mean, most of the industry will tell you pick a genre and stick to it. And while that does have some validity to it, it is very true. Like you look at people like Billie Eilish who had this sound, you know, made a whole album on it. But then you look at her following up albums and they went from folk to like, you know, other experimental stuff, you know, and like you look at Taylor Swift and like she's even gone from like, she went from country to, you know, pop music. And I think it's beautiful to evolve as an artist. And I think for a long time, like when I said like I was younger, when I did like American Idol, like I felt small. Like I knew exactly what I wanted to do, but I think I was just scared to like sing, like really like open up my voice. And so after like I went through a breakup, like I just became this like evil character. So it's like all of those phases of my music were exactly the times that I was in mentally and like physically. But I think for this project, I look back and I'm like, that girl was so many different characters because like I loved theater and it was very theatrical. But this time I'm like, I want to incorporate every genre that got me here. And it's interesting that you were like Millennium. Electronic music was the genre that I started out on. And I was like, I want electronica. And then I was like, I like did alt and pop and singer-songwriter. So I'm like, how do I mix electronica rock, alt, and singer-songwriter pop into one genre?
Yeah.
And I just kind of like, I tell, you know, Sarah, and I'm like, I just call it electro rock. Like, that's just, I feel like now what I am genre boxing, I guess. So like, it'll feel like this dancey, like lots of like, first of all, real instruments, everything on this entire, I haven't actually announced this yet. I'm going to tomorrow, but I have an EP coming out this summer and it'll be my second EP, third project. But yeah, it's like the whole thing just feels dancey, but also like heavy at the same time and just fun.
Yeah.
It's like I wanted to basically have every genre that got me here and like keep those little parts of me, you know, in this new music. So I didn't want it to feel like this drastic switch. Like it's really not. Once you start to hear this project, you hear the electronic in it and you hear the dance music and you also hear this like the singer-songwriter and the pop. So it was really fucking fun.
Hell yeah.
To make this project. Like I had the time of my damn life. I just felt so aligned with it.
And maybe some may say that maybe you had a little influence on Millennium's latest record because it was all pop rock features for the most part. It was like Jaden Hossler, Avril.
Yeah, that project is a little more heavy rock. Mine is more like there's a lot of influence from like Tame Impala, Arctic Monkeys, Måneskin, Nothing But Thieves. Like those were kind of the inspiration behind it. So not so much electronic, but electronica, which is like we use like a lot of synth, and like a lot of bass and like keys, and it's like kind of more like funky, I guess. Yeah, it's hard to explain. I guess you're just gonna have to wait to hear it.
Hell yeah!
But like you'll hear those references, and it, you know, it's like I tried to incorporate all the music that made me feel something when I listen to it and when I watch it, and I realized that I hadn't been doing that with my own music. For sure. Like at my headline tour, I hated playing those songs. I'll be so real with you.
Really?
I hated it. It weren't fast enough. I was like, I went to a Nothing But Thieves concert in 2023, October. Sold out the Wiltern. The whole building was shaking. Like everybody was like, and for an LA show, that's very, very rare.
Yeah.
everyone around you was like making friends and talking to each other. And I had this like, I just sat there and I had this fucking epiphany. And I was like, I want to make people feel like this. And I was like, my music is making me sad and I don't want to be sad anymore, you know? So yeah, I call it, I want to make people jump music.
Hell yeah.
So every time we made like the tempo, I was like, is this jumping tempo?
You mentioned about learning how to play guitar, but you left out a very important detail about you learning how to play guitar.
And then not playing it?
You self-taught yourself.
Yeah, on YouTube.
Yeah, so
much improper training, you know?
Is it improper training or artistic training?
I like that. I like the way you think. I feel like I didn't learn scales or anything like that. I just like learned how to strum and pick and like do all these things, and I learned by ear. I don't know chords. But if someone were to be like, oh, can you like play this like melody, like I could find it on the guitar. But I don't play it now because I never learned to play with a click. So I have tried to play guitar for shows, and I psych myself out.
Yeah.
This every time I get to sound check, I go, never mind. Never fucking mind. I think like I haven't adjusted to like in-ears. And to pay attention to the guitar and my voice and like the background music. Like, I don't know if a lot of people do know this about me. Like, I was very, very ADHD as a kid and like have a lot of like neurodivergent traits such as like sensory overload from like lights and sound. And in-ears are really hard for me because when I hear too many sounds, I can't hear them at all. And like, it's been a very unique experience being a performing artist. With that. So I've had to learn during sound check, like exactly what I need in my individual like ears. And it's not much.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just fucking vocals and track. No instruments, nothing, just click.
Damn.
Yeah. So I need to work on like practicing to a click and then practicing with like my in-ear monitors and stuff like that. It'll be something I slowly grow into.
Hell yeah. The evolution of an artist.
Yeah.
Now,
like the next time you interview me, I'm going to be rocking out with my guitar on stage.
We're both going to have in-ears and not miss a cue or a beat.
I prefer not to use them the old-fashioned way. I fucking love stage monitors, but also they fuck your shit up.
Oh, yeah.
Like you'd have no hearing. And also like at festivals, you deal with a slapback delay. So, you know, you wouldn't be on time. But if I could go no in-ears, I would prefer that.
Yeah.
You're just in the energy. I just usually take one out because like I just want to feel it. I want to hear the crowd and just feel the fucking bass and shit, you know?
Hell yeah. Now, is there anything else that you've self-taught yourself in the performing space?
I guess songwriting, but I had a lot of help from James Young and Brennan Loney, who I met when I was 19 years old. And I messaged James like on Instagram and I was like, dude, love your work. Like would love to write a song with you. Had I ever written a song? No. Did he reply? Did I meet with him? Yes. Did I sit there the entire fucking time? Like, and you know, James is a great friend of mine now, but I was like, I couldn't get a word out.
Yeah.
Like I had loved his music so much that I was like, anything that I say is going to be shit. And then when COVID happened, Brennan and I sat in his bedroom writing 3 songs a day during the entire duration of lockdown. And that's like when I started posting on TikTok. So like I learned just by trial and error.
Yeah.
But like just writing so many shit songs like every day. Like I was not naturally, like I wrote like books and like stories as a kid. I had a very overactive imagination, but I didn't know how to lyrics and songwriting is something entirely different than like writing a book.
Yeah.
You know, it's similar, but different when
Very
it
different.
comes to, you know, syllables and rhyming. But yeah, I spent all those years just like literally every day because there's nothing to fucking do. And I'm very, very lucky, you know, that happened. Not to say I'm glad that COVID happened, but I also feel like there's a large percent of artists out there who are happy that they had the time to focus on doing something that they actually love, you know? So yeah.
Definitely. And now, obviously, during that time, it was very bleak out there. Inspiration wasn't really a thing in the outside world. You couldn't go out to a bar and write a song about being at a bar or something. So is there anything else in your life that you're passionate about that helps spring on creativity when it comes to songwriting and just being an artist?
It's funny you say that. You're like, oh, well, nothing's currently happening. But I'm like, well, so much has already happened in my life. And it taught me how to really take a deeper look, you know? And it's funny because just because I write a song or like write a song and come out with it doesn't mean that that's necessarily happening right now. It may have happened, like Say Less is stuff that happened 4 years ago, 3 years ago. And I decided to just like write a song about it now, you know? And I don't know. I have a fun time with that. I think it's cool to just draw inspiration just from a random point in your life. Like, I don't believe writer's block is real.
Yeah.
I just think you aren't looking hard enough. There's gotta be something, you know? And if there isn't, like, just try reading. Sometimes that sparks, like, sometimes you'll see a quote and like that'll just spark something. That happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
If I do feel a little like I don't know what to write about today, like if someone says something or if I read something, like I could just write a whole song about that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I think like I talked about my parents' divorce and my music and all like my breakups and my mental health and drinking, and like I kind of touched on every single fucking subject that I could, and now I'm kind of like, okay, time to make fun music. I ran out of all that idea.
So
I don't want to sing about that anymore.
For sure. And it was a very important step in your career to get it out there and do it. Let's not discredit that for sure.
Oh yeah, no, I'm so glad. That's why I'm like, if you want to listen to the sad stuff, and I'll still make that music, just not by the dozens, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like, if you want to hear that part, like she's always there.
Yeah.
Like she's always there to go back to, you know? I think that's what's cool. It's like the music, it will forever be there.
For sure.
You know?
And something that's really cool about you, talking about all your artistry and your career so far, it's you haven't had a traditional career by any means. Like the steps in which people have taken, you didn't take the same steps. It's a very unconventional way of going about things, and it's working so well.
I sometimes can't believe it. When I tell people about it, I feel like I'm like used to like telling people the story, and then I'm like, that is really fucking weird.
Yeah. So you went on your headliner as your first tour, as you were saying earlier in the interview, and then you supported Natalie Jane on her Sick of It All tour.
Sick to My Stomach.
Sick to My Stomach tour, and used the same merch and everything, which is cool.
So had the same word. That's what's also fucking weird. I'm a very spiritual person.
Yeah.
So all this stuff happening was just like, whoa. I was like, oh, like I like actually started to notice all these patterns, you know, and like the way that like life was planning out like that. Yeah, crazy.
So how did you mentally adjust your performance, or actually adjust your performance, to going from a headlining tour for your first tour to being a support tour where people might not necessarily be there for you particularly 100% of the people, and now you're going to the Vans Warped Tour where you have such a broad audience of fans that you could let me take that back. Not that you could win over, that you will be winning over at the Vans Warped Tour.
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so
I've been a fear, you know, at a festival, a lot more fucking people. A lot more people that don't know who you are. A lot of just like, you know, they look at you like this when you open, you know? But I luckily my fans are fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome people, kind, respectful, so supportive, you know, and make me feel like, you know, $100. And I went on the Natalie tour and had to learn that like not obviously everyone there was going to give me the exact same energy as my headline tour.
Yep.
But I found that more fun. Like not necessarily more fun as in like the work was challenging, and that is fun to me.
Yeah.
Like I think you have to have those tours. Like you have to learn how to convince people, you know?
That's awesome.
Because that's your job as a musician. And the thing is I know that my music is not going to be for everybody. And I'm not trying to convince you that. I am just trying to have you believe in like me as a person, I guess, you know, and even if you do hate the music, like at least like, you know, I was giving my fucking all up there and having a good time. I think that's what's most important, you know, because at the end of the day, there are people who are not going to like you.
Yep.
You know, and I've kind of been like, okay, yeah, like there's music that I don't like, you know, it's totally normal. But it was challenging. And I thought about that, you know, with Warped Tour, because it's obviously my first festival, but my entire life, like doing theater and singing and choir concerts, and I feel like I had so much experience as a kid, even though it wasn't like in a professional setting, with performing, like just like the performing arts. So like I've felt ready for that. Like I took dance growing up, and I think I've always just been used to like being like on the stage. Yeah. Although this is different because it's a bigger one. And scary. A little scary.
Speaking of the big stage, have you experienced any unexpected moments on stage that you had to just roll with the punches and improv, and that taught you, okay, I can't do that next time?
God, so many times.
What's the biggest
every
one?
Show. Oh my God. The first time I played in Denver before my headline show, it was like for an electronic thing with Blank, and he asked me to open. And in Denver, I had no fucking idea the altitude like affects you so much. I literally was jumping around, and within 10 minutes of my set, I ran like behind the DJ booth and like ducked to like go chug water.
Jeez.
Like I just fully left the stage. I just left, and I literally couldn't breathe because I was jumping up and down, and that was just like kind of embarrassing. So I was like, it reminded me of like artists or athletes, and I wasn't treating myself like one, you know? But a lot of the times like music will start and I will start singing before the song starts, or like something just awkward happens like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I remember a song playing too early. I think it must have been during my headline show, but like Sage had started the track too early, and I like fucked something up, and I was like, restart it. And he's like, keep going. And I looked at him, I was like, no, turn it off. And that's like, honestly, like the most, it doesn't get like crazy. Yeah. Like I don't have fans who pass out. You know,
only you who almost passes out.
Yes, just me. So you know, I say that yet. It's bound to happen in the future, you know. But nothing like crazy.
Well, I'm glad you figured out the altitude and how to take care of your physical health. And it leads me into my next question. Mental health is obviously a very big focus in the music industry, and it's very hard to keep your mental health above water in some capacity, one being on the road and everything. What are some steps that you took to help your mental health on the road and blowing up as quick as you have? And basically, I mean, listening to the interview, it's kind of like COVID, you got your songs out, tour since. Yeah. Which is not a fair way for anyone to live.
It is really strange, like my path of music. Cause like when I started like really releasing my project in 2022, I like came up really fast. You know, I jumped from 200,000 monthly listeners to 1 million in 6 months. And I've just stayed there. But that's also the thing. I've just stayed there. Yeah. So it's felt kind of like this the last like couple years. Like I feel like I'm growing. It's slow growth. But all these like things are happening, but like your brain just adjusts, and your brain just kind of like sits here. Yeah. But throughout the course of my career, mental health has been a very, very important conversation. I have a family history of a lot of mental health issues, you know, on my dad's side and my mom's, and I kind of grew up like having this feeling. It's like, I never want to make people feel how I felt, you know, and if I could shed just like a little more light and talk about things and make people think that it's okay. Because our parents' generation, they couldn't talk about those things. They weren't allowed to, and they weren't taught that. And so I feel like we're lucky as a generation to teach people how to have these hard conversations, especially on tour. I've seen a lot of tours where there's like a manager artist relationship or a band artist relationship where the artist is very separate than the band, and they can't openly discuss like what's like real, you know, and you're living with these people on this bus. You know, I think I talked to Lucas Flood about this. Like you're miserable if you can't share like who you are, and you start just shoving it down and tucking it down. You know, it's like you're on the road, you don't have your friends or your family, and I don't know. I feel like there has to be like before the beginning of tour, like I think it's important for people to kind of like leave room for everyone to like hopefully feel free to be able to discuss things if they come up, you know?
Yeah.
It's hard though, because you're like, this is professional. Obviously, I'm at a different level than, you know, Taylor Swift or Olivia Rodrigo. I'm sure like there might be, you know, business artists. Like I get it, the boundaries, you know, but I'm like, I feel like people in like our tier like should be having those conversations. I don't think there's any reason not to when you're in a fucking bus.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Or like a van that you're sharing this tiny little space, you know? Yeah, touring is hard.
Oh, yeah.
It's tough on the body. You're not eating properly. You're not sleeping. And you get more emotional, you know? But like my favorite thing is like Sage, you know, tours with me now. And like that saves me.
Hell yeah.
You know?
Shout out to Sage. We've mentioned him a handful of times.
Fucking killer, you know? Great guy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to always be a staple in my career path. I always promote ways of healing. I talk about ice baths a lot and breath work and like grounding, because like the idea of being an artist, people are like, oh, well, you have to sacrifice and sell your soul, right?
Yeah.
You have to get rid of all your friends and become an asshole. And I've been so keen on finding another way. You know, like I want to be, like I look at everyone's like rise to the top and it all has like that same like path, you know? And I'm like, there's got to be another one. Like you got to be able to keep your mental health and be happy and have your friends. You know, it's about choices and like making time for those things. And everyone suffers like from burnout, but it's because they're not making the choice to like take a day off. Like you can have a day off. No one's holding a gun to your fucking head and we're like, post the video, you know? But it's like, I took fucking 6 months off from releasing music and now all these things are happening. So it's like, I'm trying to prove to myself a point and to other people that's like, you don't have to literally fucking bury yourself like in the ground to like have this career, you know? Like you can have your mental health and have that too, you know? Haven't figured it out perfectly yet, but mark my words, I will.
Hell yeah. So the music video for Got What I Wanted is showing scenes of you being a theater kid, which is a nod to your past. How did being a theater kid really influence and help your artist project? Because we've mentioned you being a theater kid a handful of times during this interview already. So what
explains that personality?
Yeah, it's a personality trait, which is so cool. So just what has theater taught you about the performing arts in this capacity?
I think a big part of theater and this playing a character and the crazy makeup and the costumes has been like playing a character in the theater. You know, I think the coolest thing about being an artist is you get to be whoever the fuck you want. Like there's Chandler, like I am my artist, right? But I think it's like when Chandler Leighton steps on the stage, it's like she's just really 100% herself. And I think when I'm more calm as just me, and I don't know. I think theater, the makeup and the costumes, like I think I was afraid so much of my feminine for a very long time. I was, and then I wasn't. And I started just wearing all black. And, you know, I had the like black hair and blonde on top. And I think, theater played a huge role in like the obsessive with like dyeing my hair different colors. And like, it just felt like fun. And that's what theater feels like. It's fun. But yeah, I guess that's kind of how it's played a role. A lot more so now. Oh my God, sorry. Hair just like floated on my face.
Can't even blame Biggie this time.
I'm just like, fuck, I know. I'm like, your dog isn't even fucking here. Yeah. Is that the whole question?
That's the whole question.
I was like, what was the rest of that?
Yeah, you answered it. So
that helps with stage presence. I will say that. I haven't played a lot of shows in my career, really at all, if you think about it. Like my headline tour, like what I sang in August, and then this Natalie one was the first tour I ever went on. And something that I always knew that I had was just by people coming up to me. It was like, but your stage presence, like you act like you've been doing this all your life. And I think it's because of growing up in theater and dance. You're not afraid of the stage. When singers first start out, the stage is the most terrifying thing in the world because you're not used to it. And when you start, like I did in the second grade, you get used to that, but it's different.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's stuff that you've written. So you've now opened yourself this thing where like, you can judge me,
Yeah.
And like with theater, you're just playing another character. So you don't, like you're not her. So it's more fun. But like when you're on that stage, like you are her, and people are connecting to you that way. So it just feels much more enjoyable, I think.
I'm not going to lie. When you put your hands out like this, I just started hearing the guitar part to Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield, like slowly fading in. But we're not. We're not going to be playing that. We're going to be playing "Got What I Wanted" by Chandler Leighton here on idobi Warped Radio, and we'll be back with a little more with Chandler before she gets going to start prepping for the Vans Warped Tour. Maybe we're going tanning. Who knows?
Yeah, brother. Tanning? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, gonna have a base tan.
Oh, you have no idea the burn under this shirt right now. I am I don't know if you can see it. Like, can you see it? Can you see the sunburn?
Oh my God. Yeah, no, that's sunburn.
It's there. Do we get that?
But
I'm fucking so pasty. I went out in the sun. My friend just moved into this house with a pool, and I was like, gotta get my base tan. Full lobster, like head to toe. And this is day 4 of the sunburn, and it still looks like this. So,
well, some may say she did not get what she wanted.
just know that I will be tan.
Chandler Leighton, who will be playing her first Vans Warped Tour this summer. That's so crazy to say.
Slay! I hated that I just said that. I'm so sorry. Yeah, crazy. It's actually 2 months away, which I didn't fucking realize.
Yep.
I was like, damn, I should probably start figuring out my set list.
As someone who was on...
All new songs, which is also kind of terrifying to me.
That is cool.
All new.
As someone who had the honor of being on the Vans Warped Tour for like the first week between 2014 and 2019, like it's the coolest thing for me in the world to be able to sit here, especially with a new and up and coming artist who I respect so much, being able to say, we're on idobi Warped Radio again. Like it just feels
sick.
so good.
That's also crazy for me to hear. Like, God, if I could have told her, little fucking 8th grade Channy, like, you're going to play Warped Tour, she would have been like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, it's just, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Really fucking cool. Really quite unbelievable.
It's time to make some new memories, but I want to focus on some old memories too, because your headlining tour being your first tour, it's such a cool thing to even say out loud as an interviewer to an artist that happened. But also, what were some highlights from going on your first tour as a headlining tour?
It's not like I was doing like 500, 1,000 cap rooms, but I'm just as proud of the fact that I wasn't. Fans are fans, no matter how many of them are there.
Yep.
Like the fact that 2 fucking people could show up and I would give those 2 people the best damn performance of their life. I think a lot of like, we always want to like, perform to these big rooms. Of course, that's the goal, to sell out like, Palladium and the Will Turn. And I don't know. I'm really glad that I did that at the room capacity that I did it at, because those fans will remember that for the rest of their life.
Yep.
When it was a 200, 250, 300 cap room, and I had the time to talk to every single one of them. I didn't do a VIP. I didn't make them pay for any of that. Like I just, after the show would go, I would stand there and I would talk to every single person. And that was fucking cool. And I got to know these people, and these people have become are friends of mine. Like they're in my Discord. Like one of the girls who kept coming to my shows is now like a mod in my Discord, and I had her come on the Sick Tour and photograph it.
That's awesome.
I gave her a photo pass because she asked, and I was like, and she literally got flights and was hopping around and just being at these shows and just really wanted to learn concert photography. And I was like, I'll put you on the media list every night and you can, figure it out. And she did. And I'm like, that was cool for me.
That's awesome.
You know?
And speaking of unconventional career, I don't know anyone who goes on their first tour and their photographer is flying in a PJ to every show.
Oh my God. My first headline show, there was a lot of fucked up shit that happened. First of all, the van on the way to Texas, the AC broke. It was August. It is 105 degrees out, 104. We have 3.5 hours left of the drive. No way to fix it. We stopped, we tried, couldn't trade the van in. We lowered the windows because you couldn't keep the windows closed because it would turn into a hot box. We would have died, from heat stroke. And we went to the gas station and picked up a bunch of like twisted teas. Obviously not the driver. And like chugged them in the parking lot and then just like threw them out and like got in the car and we're just vibing. Celia dumped a bunch of ice in her hat.
Yeah.
And we were just sitting there and like playing games and shit. It's funny because talk about manifesting. We're at like a Dairy Queen and like it's funny, like mental health, all these things. I sat there in the Dairy Queen. I was like, I feel like we haven't really bonded yet. There hasn't been like that thing where all of us have bonded. I shit you not. We leave Dairy Queen into the car. 5 minutes later, AC breaks. And I texted Sierra, because I had texted Sierra this.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I feel like we haven't really bonded yet. And then I texted her. I was like, oh, we're about to fucking bond now. And we did. And it was like the worst thing that like happened was the best thing that happened. We were giggling and blasting music. And Ross, who was our front of house, who was driving, was just like dancing. And it like... You had a bad situation, right? And you have a choice in that situation. You either make the best of it or you be miserable for 3.5 hours. Yeah. And we chose to make the best of it. And that to me was so beautiful how stuff like that happens, And it like the way we were so miserable that we had to feed off of each other's energy to keep us okay. Cause it was agony. Like, yeah. With the windows down on the freeway at 104 degrees, like we all had to put AirPods in because it was loud, like the wind, we're in a van. And yeah, it was just fucking funny. Like, oh, and we didn't get into Canada, got turned around. We had like the thing from Live Nation, but when they asked for like a pass for our gear and they said you have to pay $3,000 to cross the border. I was like, I don't have $3,000. I'm not even making that for my show. I can't afford that. I'm an independent artist. I don't have a label backing me for touring budget. It's coming from me. I'm paying for everything. I was like, I was fucking out like $18,000. I was like, I don't have $3,000 right now. And I knew I was like going to piss a lot of people off, but I couldn't do anything about it. They wouldn't let us in, so it's just like, all this fucking shit.
Jeez.
This kept happening, and it was rough, but it was fun. It definitely made us exhausted though, for sure. Like having to deal with those situations and then play shows, 16-hour drives.
Yeah, no. And not to bring up money, but I remember from our first interview that we did, you mentioned the day you crossed 1 million monthly listeners, you also overdrafted your bank account.
I did that again last week.
Did you? What was it on this time?
It was actually Monday, which is so funny. But every time I overdraft, I have an opportunity the next day or day of for money. It is the strangest thing. It has been happening to me my whole life. Every time I overdraft my account, I get a job. Like I work in sync a lot.
Yeah.
And I do sound better, like on the side. And every time like I overdraft, I get a sound better job, like hired. Or like I get like a sync opportunity or like, yesterday I got a text that the sync that we had submitted for something got approved.
Yeah.
And I had no money in my account. And I was like, it's just so interesting. But I also still to this day just funded that music video, which cost me so much fucking money. I had dancers, and I had all these people willing to just show up for me.
Yeah.
A lot of people who just like wanted to be there, and that meant the fucking world to me. This was a very expensive music video that we made for inexpensive for music videos. Still expensive for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still funding the damn vision because that to me is worth it, Yeah. And like some say like music videos are like a dying thing, but I'm like music videos will always be the separation from the content. Mm-hmm. the content is like what you have to do online to like have people find your music, but your music videos and your visuals, like that's your art.
Yeah.
That's your artistry. And even if there aren't like, even if music videos and YouTube aren't like the numbers, you know, like somebody who would have 300 million views probably has like, you know, would get closer to like 30 million, you know, and it's just like, it's just different. But I'm like, I firmly believe that music videos are a huge part, and especially to me, in creating the world of my project, you know?
For sure. And speaking of music visuals or music videos and visuals, the last time you came out of the Adobe Studio, we lost the last half of the video for some reason or other. It just is one screen that says, sorry, technical issues. But since we actually made it towards the end of the interview with video right there and right there, something I noticed about you is you have a Blink-182 tattoo right here.
That I got
The smiley face?
And the work sucks.
Oh, no way.
Actually, Sage has this on the back of his neck too. I got it backstage at the Blink-182 concert.
Wait, at SoFi?
Yeah.
No way.
There was a tattoo artist there and who was like $50. And because Sage was playing for Landon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he was drumming, and that was like a huge thing for him, you know, and we like went out in the crowd and watched them and just decided to get a backstage tat. And I'm like, that's the sickest thing ever.
That's
I'm
so
like,
cool.
It was so crazy to me, you know, and so proud of him. But yeah, we're like, let's just get Blink-182 tats. Like, that's sick as fuck. Yeah, so he has that one on the back of his neck. So we basically have matching tattoos.
That's awesome. And it happened in the summer, and they have the lyric about they couldn't wait for the summer and the Warped Tour, and now you're going on the Warped Tour.
Yeah, I just again, manifesting, crazy. All these little lines connecting.
I'm so dizzy for the amount of full circles we've done this interview.
Literally. I feel like I'm experiencing a lot of that
right
now in my journey because of taking a step back for 6 months, that all these things, you know, started happening.
Definitely.
But yeah, that damn light.
And speaking of things that keep happening in your career, you keep putting out new songs in your career, which means it's going to make it a little bit harder when you have a time constraint for your set. And the Vans Warped Tour is notorious for having a shorter set than most headliners, most support tours.
Honestly, I do appreciate that.
Really?
30-minute sets are awesome.
That's
because these songs are much more vocally challenging than I've ever done. Part of this project was to sing in my full voice, not like what I was talking about, the soft character voice that I did, but this project was like, I want to sing, you know, and I want to experiment with my voice and what I can do with it. And I learned so much. But doing it live is going to be another thing that I'm a little nervous about. But I'm really excited. And like, because all these songs are so fun that like, I feel like it's going to fit the Warped Tour vibe so much more than my old music. It's just too slow. And this is like much more dancey and fun.
It's so cool. And it's not too slow by any means. All sorts of genres have played Warped Tour, and fans have been made by these artists. So don't think that any music is too slow for Warped Tour.
The comments were gnarly, like
Really?
during the release. Like, Vans Warped Tour is da-da-da-da, it's not pop and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, when I went to Vans Warped Tour, first of all, they post the lineup like on the set times, and then you just go and you don't know a lot of the people who are playing, and people seem to forget that. Like, that was the beautiful part about Warped Tour, is that you didn't know these artists and you could find these artists. And like, the one thing that I hope is that people keep an open mind. I do know that my music is different than a lot of the people on this lineup. I know that it's not as metal or rock heavy. And, you know, for a second I was nervous about that, but then I was like, oh, I'm excited about that, because people who do like, I saw electronic on the lineup. So I'm like, okay, like mine falls in the in-between, you know? So I'm excited about that. A little nervous. You know?
And anyone
people are like, what the fuck is this?
Anyone who's asking what the fuck is this clearly did not hear you doing a Paramore cover at Emo Night with your full voice and it being absolutely immaculate. Your full voice is amazing. I remember like
shitting my pants doing that, like sweating.
Oh, I was sweating because I was running up to watch you at soundcheck in Bordeaux.
That was the scariest. No, I did, for those who don't know, Only Exception, and that fucking bridge, man. That bridge is crazy, and like I had to learn a lot about like how to sing in that range without killing my voice. So that's something that I'm working on right now, is not murdering my voice at Warped Tour, but which is why I like 30-minute set times. I can sing harder for a shorter amount of time.
Gotcha.
But when I have an hour show, I typically will hold back until the end to save my voice and make sure. It's like when you sing live, it's very different than the recorded sound. Like you have to make sure you can sustain the full hour.
Yeah.
So I think for 30 minutes, like I really can literally just rock the fuck out and like really, get into it without worrying about like the duration, But that just comes with training. It's something that like I'll get used to the more shows that I play, but I haven't played that many. So it's just something that I'm adjusting to for sure.
Amazing. I can't wait to watch you adjust, and I can't wait to watch your sets because you're on all 3 weekends, right?
Yeah.
Damn. So
so many friends are on it too. It's going to be such a good time. Sage is playing for like 4 different fucking people, including me. I'm like, I'm not going to see him at all. He's just me bouncing around on set. But yeah, so many women are on it, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I never saw that, back in the day. It was just all men, and I think it's really, really cool how different types of music, because also music just has evolved since then. That's what people are also forgetting,
Yeah.
is like, yes, we like they're bringing back like the old bands, but like it's also about introducing new music. That's what Kevin has always done. And that lineup release was a beautiful idea of giving everybody the spotlight for these fans to get a chance to hear us and listen to our music. So if they don't know, they can listen to our music ahead of time and get to sing along on, set. I'm like, that is the most original and cool and supportive things that I've ever seen out of a festival do. Like they really care about their artists, and I very much appreciate that, because it is scary for us new people who are, coming into this scene for the first time. Warped Tour, like that is, I'm not a legacy band, so there's like a little bit of scary. It's very, very scary, but also really exciting. So I'm like, I can't wait to find my people.
Yeah.
Like I can't wait to connect with the ones who are into it, I
have a feeling it's going to be your people finding you. They're going to hear you and just gravitate towards that stage.
I hope so. The first song, it's not coming out till July, but we're dropping like new music around Warped Tour.
Sick.
Which will be really cool, but it's all the new EP. So I'm excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I have one final question for you, and it encompasses everything in 10 words or less. I was very impressed with myself. Maybe don't count it. It might be a little more than 10 words.
Okay.
But if you were to collaborate with any Vans Warped Tour artist still living or past at this point, who would it be and why?
Shit. Damn. That's a hard one. Has Paramore played Warped Tour?
Yep, multiple times.
Yeah. That'd be the one. Yeah. Or like, I think because like A Day to Remember was like such a fucking pivotal artist for me. Like the reason like I went to Warped Tour, and I know that like back then they were like I remember because like we had like they had Asking Alexandria, and like I listened to Escape the Fate and stuff like that, and like there were the more like heavier bands, and I feel like A Day to Remember was a little lighter, and that's why I liked them, But I feel like like that'd be fucking sick. There's a lot of bands. That's a hard question.
It's definitely not an easy question. Probably the hardest question of the whole interview.
Yeah, but I like the longest people that I've been listening to are definitely like Paramore, A Day to Remember, Sleeping with Sirens. Circa Survive.
Ooh.
That lead singer who is
Anthony
now
Green?
in a new... Yes. I fucking love him. His voice is so unique and cool. And I don't have iTunes anymore, but like I only have like a couple downloaded songs from middle school and high school, and like Circa Survive, like I Felt Free is like still on there, like that whole album, I feel like that would be sick as fuck. Anthony fucking Green. That would be crazy.
We're putting it out there. Anthony Green, if you're listening,
come sing with me. Please.
I mean, he could add another project under his belt. He has Circa, he has Seosid.
Jimmy World.
Yeah. Oh, Jimmy Eat World would be a good one.
I kind of
Did they play Warped Tour? They had to have played Warped Tour.
I think.
I don't have a fact check.
Yeah.
Let's post fact check that one, and we'll put a check mark or an X in post production.
I want to do a cover of Jimmy Eat World at Warped Tour. Don't know how that's gonna go, but in my head it's really cool. If I play it like the second song,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, a little bit of an easier question. How can everyone keep up with you? What's a Twitter, Facebook, Spotify?
Twitter. Nothing
TikTok.
ever good came from Twitter. I have Threads.
Cool.
Which is a happier place. I have Instagram, YouTube. It's all the same, just Chandler Leighton. Yeah, I have my first release coming out tonight, or well, technically
Last week.
My first release came out last week. And it's a new song every 4 weeks after that.
Amazing.
Videos and visualizers. So, I have Discord and Lay Low. Like all those links are in my bio on Instagram for ways to connect and have daily newsletters. And my Discord is the most awesome place ever. If you're ever looking for someone to go to shows with, if you're scared of going to shows alone, and you want to meet up with people, my Discord is a great place for that. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, Chandler, thank you so much for coming by idobi Warped Radio. I can't wait to see you on all 3 weekends of the Vans Warped Tour this summer and fall, which is so interesting to say. But thank you guys for listening to another incredible episode of idobi Warped Radio. Be sure to check out previous episodes with Kevin Lyman 303 and Royal and the Serpent. And now, Chandler Leighton.
woo!
idobi Warped Radio.